The Roman Empire, a beacon of power and civilization for centuries, faced a period of unprecedented turmoil in the 3rd century AD. This era, known as the Crisis of the 3rd Century, tested the very foundations of Roman society. From 235 to 284 AD, the empire grappled with a maelstrom of internal and external pressures that threatened its very survival. This period witnessed the assassination of emperors, the rise and fall of usurpers, and the fragmentation of a once unified realm. The crisis of the 3rd century was a multifaceted crisis. It encompassed political instability, economic collapse, and military conflict. The empire, accustomed to imposing its will on its neighbors, found itself vulnerable to both internal rebellion and external invasion. The very fabric of Roman life, from its political institutions to its economic systems, was strained to the breaking point. This era of crisis had a profound impact on the trajectory of Roman history. It forced a reassessment of long-held assumptions about imperial governance and military power. The solutions implemented to address the crisis, while ultimately successful in preserving the empire, would fundamentally alter its character. The Roman world that emerged from the crisis was in many ways a different place from the one that had entered it. The crisis of the 3rd century serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of even the most powerful empires. It highlights the complex interplay of factors that can contribute to imperial decline and the challenges inherent in maintaining stability and prosperity over time. By examining this tumultuous period, we gain a deeper understanding of the Roman Empire's strengths, weaknesses, and the enduring legacy it left on Western civilization. The year 235 CE marked a turning point in Roman history. It was in this year that Emperor Severus Alexander, a relatively young and inexperienced ruler, was assassinated by his own troops. This act of violence, seemingly isolated at the time, would set in motion a chain of events that would plunge the Roman Empire into decades of chaos and uncertainty. Severus Alexander's assassination was not simply a result of personal ambition or discontent within the ranks. It was a symptom of deeper issues that had been festering within the empire for years. The Roman army, once a symbol of imperial might and discipline, was becoming increasingly fractious and prone to rebellion. The assassination of Severus Alexander created a dangerous power vacuum at the heart of the Roman state. With no clear successor in place, ambitious generals saw an opportunity to seize power for themselves. What followed was a period of intense competition for the imperial throne, with various claimants vying for control of the empire. This event shattered any semblance of stability within the Roman political system. The assassination of an emperor, while not unprecedented in Roman history, had typically been followed by a relatively smooth transition of power. In this instance, however, the lack of a clear and accepted successor created an environment ripe for exploitation and violence. The assassination of Severus Alexander was not merely the death of an emperor, it was the death of an era, the end of the Pax Romana, and the beginning of a period of profound instability that would test the very limits of Roman resilience. The assassination of Severus Alexander unleashed a wave of political instability that would plague the Roman Empire for decades. The empire, once unified under a single emperor, fragmented into a patchwork of competing factions and breakaway states. This period, often referred to as the military anarchy or the imperial crisis, saw a rapid succession of emperors, most of whom were military commanders who seized power through force. Between 235 and 284 AD, over 20 individuals claimed the title of Roman emperor. These claimants, often lacking legitimacy in the eyes of the Senate or the populace, were forced to rely on military might to maintain their grip on power. This resulted in constant warfare, not only along the empire's frontiers, but also within its heartland. The empire, weakened by internal strife, proved increasingly vulnerable to external threats. Barbarian tribes, sensing Roman weakness, launched increasingly bold incursions across the empire's borders. The Roman army, stretched thin and plagued by low morale, struggled to contain these incursions. The political fragmentation of the Roman Empire during the crisis of the 3rd century was a symptom of the deep-seated problems that plagued the empire. The decline of central authority, the rise of powerful military commanders, and the increasing pressure from external enemies, all contributed to the disintegration of the once mighty Roman state. This period of division and chaos would have a lasting impact on the empire, shaping its political, economic, and social landscape for centuries to come. The political turmoil of the 3rd century AD had a devastating impact on the Roman economy. The constant warfare, coupled with widespread instability and mismanagement, led to a prolonged period of economic decline and hyperinflation. The Roman monetary system, once the envy of the ancient world, collapsed, leading to widespread economic hardship and social unrest. The Roman economy had long been reliant on the spoils of war and the exploitation of conquered peoples. However, with the empire now fighting for its survival on multiple fronts, the flow of wealth into Rome slowed to a trickle. The constant need to raise and equip armies placed a tremendous strain on the imperial treasury, forcing emperors to debase the currency in a desperate attempt to cover their expenses. The devaluation of Roman coinage led to runaway inflation. The denarius, once a silver coin of reliable value, became increasingly worthless as its silver content was progressively reduced. This hyperinflation had a devastating impact on Roman society. Prices soared, making basic goods and services unaffordable for ordinary citizens. The economic crisis of the 3rd century had a profound impact on the daily lives of people throughout the Roman Empire. It undermined trust in the government, fueled social unrest, and contributed to a general sense of decline and despair. The economic foundations of the Roman world, once seemingly unshakable, were crumbling under the weight of crisis. The Roman Empire faced unprecedented challenges during the 3rd century. Barbarians were constantly at the gates, threatening the borders and causing widespread panic. Internally, plagues ravaged the population, weakening the empire from within. The combination of external invasions and internal strife created a perfect storm of chaos and uncertainty. It was a time of great turmoil, testing the resilience and strength of the Roman people and their leaders. The crises of this era would eventually lead to significant transformations within the empire, setting the stage for the changes that were yet to come. During this period, the Roman Empire saw a significant shift in its economic structure. The rise of the colony, tenant farmers who worked on large estates, marked a move away from the bustling trade that once defined Roman prosperity. As external threats and internal strife grew, many small farmers were forced to abandon their lands. They sought protection under wealthy landowners, leading to the decline of small-scale trade and the rise of a more feudal system. Aurelian and Diocletian were pivotal figures in the attempt to stabilize the crumbling empire. Aurelian, known as the restorer of the world, managed to reclaim lost territories and strengthen the empire's borders through military might. Diocletian, on the other hand, implemented sweeping administrative reforms. He divided the empire into the tetrarchy, hoping that shared power would ensure better governance and security. These changes were crucial in temporarily halting the decline and providing a semblance of stability. The actions of Aurelian and Diocletian didn't just address immediate crises, they also laid the groundwork for future transformations. Diocletian's reforms, in particular, influenced the structure of the Byzantine Empire. The establishment of the Tetrarchy and the division of the empire into more manageable units can be seen as early steps towards the eventual split between the Western and Eastern Roman empires. Their legacies were complex but undeniably impactful in shaping the future trajectory of Roman rule. The crisis of the 3rd century offers profound lessons for us today. It demonstrates the fragility of even the most powerful empires and the importance of adaptability in leadership. The resilience shown by leaders like Aurelian and Diocletian highlights the necessity of both military and administrative reforms in times of turmoil. Ultimately, the ability to respond to internal and external pressures with innovative solutions was key to the survival and transformation of the Roman Empire.